Hey, everybody. So I am here for a take two. I was on not too long ago, and Facebook decided to do an update and completely deleted my live video. I absolutely loved the engagement that I had. People were sharing things in the chat, and it was just a great live. But unfortunately, Facebook decided to delete it, get rid of it completely. So here I am with a take two. That'll be great for those of you who couldn't tune in the first time. And let's just get started. Let me know when you arrive and where you're tuning in from. If you watch this later on the replay, prayers, God, please help us to have a replay and have it stay this time around. And and we'll just get started here. So I am going to be talking about the 7 deadly sins, which are themes in the Bible. And basically, I wanted to connect the 7 deadly sins with how that may show up in your health journey, in your health and your life, and how these sins can really impact your ability to live a healthier, happier life. Those who know me know that I am a holistic wellness coach. And when I say that, I mean it, that I'm looking at my clients as a whole person, meaning not just your physical health, not just your body, but your mind, your mindset, and your spiritual soul health. And so this is really, I think, an important topic to talk about, because if we are actively sinning and not aware of these 7 deadly sin areas, they will certainly impact us and our overall holistic health. So let's start with number 1. The first one is pride. So think about a time where you might have seen someone, or maybe it was you yourself, where you kind of let something go to your head and you thought that you were just really great at something, and maybe you felt like, I got this, I don't need any help. And so think about how that can impact your ability to get healthier, to grow and improve. I know that there's often, situations where people, they don't think they need help. And so therefore they aren't going to get help because they think that they can do it all on their own. Some might say this stubbornness of feeling like, I don't need anyone's help. I got this and I can do this all on my own. Also, another way it might show up is you might think that because you've done some things to improve your health, to improve your life, that that's all you have to do. Like, I've arrived, and you might think that the things that you have done make you superior to somebody else, and therefore you don't feel like there's any more room for growth. So just some things to look out for. If you can think of other areas that this might show up, please let me know in the comments, or you can message me with your ideas and how this shows up in your life. The second sin is gluttony. So what I think of sometimes with gluttony could be like this gigantic feast, a gigantic all-you-can-eat buffet, and then you're trying to get your money's worth, and then you end up feeling sick because you're like, did I really need all that stuff? But I was trying to get my money's worth. But the thing that's interesting about gluttony is certainly it could be more than food and beverages. It could also be like anything that you're doing in excess, overindulging. So, a lot of times people will say, oh, I just got done binge watching XYZ. So, what are you consuming that may not be food or beverages? You might also be consuming a lot of, unhealthy media, like the news, or, like reality shows, or, insert whatever it is that's, some people call it their guilty pleasures, right? But if you really think about it, it's like, are those things helping you? Are they hurting you? Is it beneficial to your spiritual life and your overall health and wellness? Or are you actually like starting to believe the things that you're watching? Like sometimes if we watch something that is, glamorous, we might start to believe over time that we need to have those clothes and that lifestyle, if we watch it enough. So just be conscious, be aware. This is what this live is all about, is being more aware. So we've done pride, number 1, number 2, gluttony. I did want to mention, in the Bible, Ezekiel 16, chapter 16, verse 49, God is upset with the wicked city of Sodom because he says that they were being proud, they were having excess food, eating a lot of food, and being complacent in their prosperity. They were ignoring the poor and needy people, and that was part of the wickedness, was overindulging, and then ignoring those who were in need. So definitely something to be aware of. Number 3 of the 7 deadly sins is lust. I think a lot of times people might think of lust as being, like attraction and like wanting to be with someone and loving their physical appearance, sexual things. But it could also be just like obsessed with the superficial. So being obsessed with your own physical appearance and also others. So longing for a certain look and appearance. And I think it also could look like, especially when you're trying to get healthier, be healthier, you could become obsessed with things like your weight and the number on the scale. And it's so important to be looking more deeply at what health actually is beyond just the number on the scale, because you could get to a number that feels good to you, or that makes you proud. But the question is, do you actually feel good? And how did you get there? Were you doing unhealthy things in order to reach that number? So number 4 is wrath, anger. So like, what are you holding on to? Are you holding on to bitterness and resentment towards certain people in your life? How long have you been doing that? That certainly can affect health, right? It is not healthy to be holding grudges against people for a long time. And so forgiveness is a huge thing for this. And, think about, it may not be people in your like close community that necessarily, it might also be that you're really angry about the society and the culture that we live in. And there can be rightfully so reasons for that. But just being aware of how holding on to that and trying to deal with it in your own strength can certainly lead to health issues as well. Number 5 is sloth. So the sloth is crazy slow, or at least to our human perceptions, it feels so slow to watch a sloth move. And it can be, of course, if you're having like that particular sin, it can be very dangerous because of, feeling lazy, a lack of motivation. And certainly there are various reasons for that. And it might also be linked to health issues, having low energy, not feeling that drive that you used to. So if you need help with that, that's something I love to help people with, is navigating, trying to get to the roots of where that's stemming from, why you're feeling so sluggish and unmotivated, and gut health and all different things. But, saying to yourself, like, I just don't feel like it, like moving my body. I just don't feel like it. Getting out there, meeting people, I just don't feel like it. And so like, how is that affecting your relationships? And so we got to be careful about getting too comfortable and barely moving, being in sloth mode. Number 6 is greed. So this could look like you are so focused on achievement, success, getting a job that makes you the most money, that you ignore or kind of like downplay the importance of that job being something that's in alignment with you and your values and something that God would support. And it could be that you're so focused on pleasing the world and pleasing people, like choosing a job that you think people view as being better than another type of job, choosing it out of more of an intention to please people and to be cool and popular versus doing something that is truly a need and truly helping people. And so you might be able to think about a time where perhaps you accepted a job or a position. Maybe you took on too much because the paycheck looked really good, but how did you end up feeling as a result of taking it? Because when you realized it was not in alignment, you were just mostly loving the money and the paycheck. There are a lot of probably examples if you look around of, people that, and in movies, I know that there's the movie, The Wolf of Wall Street, where he gets completely like derailed, like he goes off the deep end, with his greed, and the sin is very evident in that movie. It's honestly one that I don't like to watch because of how off the deep end he goes. But just really looking at like, to what extent will people go selling their soul, their body, their minds for money? And greed is at the root of that, the evil, the sin. And then finally, number 7 is envy. So this can creep in easily, especially nowadays with being able to see what other people are doing on social media. So if you spend a lot of time looking at people's highlight reels and seeing especially like the positive things that they're posting, you might be like, oh man, I wish I could be in that tropical destination, floating on a raft in the pool, or, seeing people getting engaged and, the baby photos and all these things. And easily envy could creep in to be like, man, I wish that I could be like them. I wish that my life would be like that. And it can take you into a really dark place pretty quickly, right? Have you ever experienced that? And so you might start even living like vicariously through other people, and being in that sloth mode. Let's tie it to the sloth mode, where you're spending so much time online that you are actually, you're not living your own life. You're living somebody else's life, or wishing that you had their life instead of truly living your own. And so wishing that our body, our health, our life is like someone else's is going to lead us into a lot of disappointment, a lot of unhappiness, possibly even depression. And so we need to make sure that we are living our own lives, making sure that our actions are pleasing to God and not just trying to please other people, the culture, and society. Hey, Bill, thank you for tuning in. And so I just had gone over the 7 deadly sins and how they may show up in our life and affect our health and our happiness in a negative way. So again, I'd love to hear from you about how these 7 sins may show up, what you've noticed in your life or in the lives of others around you. And I just pray that we can be more aware so that we don't fall so easily into these sins that are separating us from the joy and the peace and just a beautiful life that God wants for us. And so we need to be aware, and it's so important to be in community, to seek support, because like I said, with the number 1 sin that I mentioned of pride, we can so easily get caught up in thinking that we are good enough, that we have enough resources on our own, that we don't need other people, and we can really slip into isolation and maybe be doing things like the gluttony, the lust, the wrath, the sloth, the greed, and envy, doing all of these things, but in isolation, which is very dangerous, and the enemy can take hold really easily. So thank you, Bill. Yeah, when you only see the perfect life, know that no one is living it. Yeah, that is such a great point, because we're only seeing what people are willing to share. And there's no way that we know completely what their life looks like behind the scenes. And let's be real, no one's life is perfect. We all have challenges, and we all are dealing with some form of these like sins that I mentioned in the 7 deadly sins. And so accepting that, knowing that, is so important, so that we don't slip so easily into it and stay there and get stuck in it, where the enemy can really take us down and affect our health and happiness. So thank you so much for tuning in. And again, I'd love to hear from you about what came up for you in this conversation. Please feel free to share with others that you think this video might help. And God bless you in the week ahead. And yeah, just thank you so much for being here.